how long have you been working on this?
So it began in November of 2022. Is when I started the first draft and deleted it like a week later because I thought it was so dumb.
Really? What was it about that first draft?
The first draft was pretty much just like, I was like, oh man, this would be a fun little love story. About these.
I mean, it kind of is.
It kind of still is, but like back then, so like there had been an article that was just released about these scientists in Australia who had grown brain cells in a petri dish, and they attached them to a computer and taught it to play Pong. And I thought that was the craziest thing ever because it's like, oh man, a brain exists in the computer and now its world is Pong. That's so absurd. Like,
it's all it knows.
It doesn't have the capacity to like realize that it is something or that it's playing Pong. Like, it's kind of just a meat computer. Yeah. But still, that was just so funky to me that it was like, there's gotta be something there. Mm-hmm. So with the idea, it's just kind of like, well, what if there's two and they only exist in this game of Pong? And what if they like start to fall in love, and then it's just like a goofy little examination of what it's like to fall in love with someone. Mm-hmm. And that was all it really was for a hot minute. And then I just kind of abandoned it and started working on another project that didn't come to fruition. And then that would be February of 2023, mm-hmm. I started thinking about it again, and it kind of became closer to what it is now. There were like more human characters that interact, and it wasn't just the brain guys. And like we would leave the room sometimes, and it was like a new script every time I sat down for like the next few months until summer when we got it to what it is now.
I'm wondering if you were like were you kind of just like playing out various different conversations between the two and kind of just landed on the ones that you ended up putting in the movie? Or was it like, how does the dialogue even come to fruition through something like this? It's
weird. I mean, with each new draft, it became kind of about what I was feeling at that specific moment. So this is like a time capsule of the specific month that I finished writing it in. Like there were versions that were much more about like suicidal ideation, and much more about just romance, or gosh, I'm trying to think of some other ones. But it was just very like specific to what I was feeling at the time. And then, like, the next month would come and be like, I no longer relate to this conversation. And I'd start over. So it just kind of had to hit a point where it's like, okay, I'm going to pump the brakes now. Yeah. And I'm not going to move forward.
There's just a point that you just had to say, you know what, it's done. It has to be done at some point, you know? Or
because even in the edit, like, I could rewrite it with relative ease because there's no moving lips. And,
it's pretty open to that, especially, I mean, you guys got really lucky. You were really lucky with like writing like a really good one location. Like, everybody talks about that in film school, that like the easiest thing to make is like a good like one location set, but even easier when you literally just have props that you're just having shots of.
Right.
Like, it's literally...
There's no faces.
But one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about that I noticed during the film tonight was how, even though, like, you could literally just say, like, it's just shots of Pong. It's just shots of a brain in a jar. It's just shots of a lamp flickering. However, it's the way... Like, who edited this, if I may ask?
I did.
You edited it?
I did, yeah.
You're doing so much more than I thought you did on this. Oh, my God. I was like, I know you're acting. I know you're writing. I know you're directing.
I felt really bad because like it was never a thing of like no one else can do this but me, because that's so scummy. It was just I really enjoyed it.
Hey,
it was just
good.
something where it's like I really like this world and I enjoy these characters, and like the therapy element of it really started to become my biggest draw to the project, where it was like I get to just tune out everything and exist in this project, and editing it became a really giant thing for therapy. And just the craft of it, like building Legos. And I've had so many of my editor friends like sit down like, is this any good? And they make like, oh, well, this should be a longer space. I'm like, oh, you're so right. So there's a lot of fingerprints, and like I sat down specifically with Cole Deppy once with like the first cut, and I'm like, is this anything? You're like, oh, can I take it for a second? I'm like, sure. And so he just took my laptop and sat on the couch for like an hour, and he's like, here you go. And I watched him like, oh my gosh, this is infinitely better. And it was just like he'd extend a clip by like half a second or something.
No, sometimes that is just what will like change like a full on tone of something, or like I think what I was really going to bring up is that you use like camera cuts not only for like kind of signifying to who's talking, but you also use. I don't know if this was it probably was intentional, but it like the actual like palm sticks, like every time that somebody would talk, like Gary's thing would like go up a little bit if he was like saying something like, oh, okay, that's sort of like it would just like move slightly to like signify like a tone, that sort of thing. Right. So I was like, was that always like planned? Or like...
that was it was all animated to the dialogue. Originally, Micah Waitman and Raleigh Venata were going to play Gary and Milo, but things didn't work out scheduling-wise. And Ryan Pollard, who did the production design, and I sat down and we just recorded like a voice memo version of the whole script on my phone, so that I could at least like get an assembly cut. And through the course of it, it just became so personal to me. Like Ryan and I knew each other before the production, but we spent nights like sleeping in the set and like just trying to get everything as perfect as we could for the summer, that like our dialogue started to sound more and more like the characters, and he just was a really, really special person to me. And so I felt really, really terrible going to Micah and saying, is it okay if Ryan and I do this together? And I feel very grateful that he was okay with it, because it's such a giant thing to me. But we animated it all to the lines, so each one is as close to reacting to the lines as we can. Oh yeah. But yeah, that's all just After Effects keyframes.
That's fair. I'm curious on set, because again, like all of that is like After Effects keyframes for like the actual palm sticks, or the dialogue is like recorded after, I'm guessing. On set, how did you know when to like say like cut?
A lot of the time, like, so we didn't record any audio on set, and it was really just such a chill atmosphere that like it was pretty much just a film photo shoot, where I had the storyboards and we'd go there and we'd set up and we'd like run it for like 20 seconds, be like, all right, that's good. you just okay, that's the shot.
No, that makes sense. It's weird that like something so simple, like I guess like filming wise, I mean, I know there's so many hands going into this, so that you can rarely call it simple, especially when it comes to, I bet, the post-production process for this. But it's interesting how all the different emotions you're talking about in terms of writing it, like whether it be suicidal ideation or like romance, especially, like all these different like varying emotions that I bet were going through while writing it. I feel like it still shows up. Like, I know you're talking about how, like, I'm not really feeling it that specifically anymore.
Yeah.
Or at, like, a different point in time. But I feel like what makes this film work is that all of that still exists as, like, a complex cacophony of emotions.
They all kind of are footsteps towards the final thing. And each draft became so drastically different. But, like, each one was, like, another peg on a ladder to kind of reach what it is. And so, like, there's a lot, like, the suicidal ideation is still there, and the romance is still there, and it all just kind of is less explicit, I think, than it was in previous drafts. So it's just kind of like a tempering of it. But, I mean, to your point, there's so many voices in the project, and it's just like the most outstanding thing to me is how special, how much care my friends put into it. Like, the amount of time Ryan spent on set getting it to look the way it does will never not mean the world to me. And spending, like, my friend Caleb and I spent 5 days in Audio One trying to get the sound correct. And
I know those long nights.
Those long nights in Audio One. And I mean, every inch of it is so personal. I have a friend, Isa Defy, who designed the window. And it's just, I could go down the list of everyone involved, and everyone contributed such a unique, special thing. Like, it's just such a wonderful group of people that I feel very, very blessed to have had all on this project. And that's the most special thing to me, I think, is just seeing them every time I go to edit it or change something.
Yeah, I feel like that was the general vibe that I got off of seeing it for the first time tonight, is that it was a small group, and I imagine, like, you didn't know everybody there, but, like, there was probably, like, a good amount of friends that are just here either to see it for the first time or second time or whatever.
It was really fun because, like, we were all over the summer and we all had jobs, so, like, we'd come back from work and just go to the studio and shoot for a few hours. We kept the nights pretty short, but, like, we'd hang out, have dinner, and film, and then, like, all right, see you tomorrow, and just kind of kept it as low-key as that. And, like, a lot of the crew is alumni-based. And I've worked with, or at least, you know, hung out with most of them. But it was really, like, humbling to ask a lot of these people who I hadn't, you know, who I admired so deeply to come on set and make a really weird movie about brains.
You're like, hey guys, I got a movie about brains in jars.
So we have 2 brains in jars, and they're gonna talk. We're not gonna hear it, and we're also not gonna see the game.
I'm curious. Do you have like a memory of, like, a favorite reaction to that pitch from, like, somebody?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there were a lot of different reactions all across the board. Like, I remember sending the script out to people and it just being so extreme. I sent it to Jim Hope.
Let's go. Oh my God.
The email I got back for him was like 2 sentences. And it was like, "This is a great script. Why the hell did you write it? Thanks."
That's amazing. That's when you know you've done something right.
Yeah. It's like, why did you write it? This is the weirdest thing. Talk to you later. Hope.
That's perfect.
It's so good. There was also a period where we just kept the brain props because they're so hard to move because they just slosh around. And I don't want to like break the brains because they're real brains, and I'm nervous that they're gonna like fall apart.
You feel that kind of during the movie too, that it looks fragile. But
they're just suspended.
It fits it. It's I don't know. It fits the vibe of the movie, especially towards the end when you have like the water dripping and everything. Everything is fragile there. Their conversation could stop at any moment, and so they just talk until they can't.
Yeah.
It's kind of weirdly beautiful. I don't know.
It's so special to me.
Yeah. There's a really good line in it that I don't know. A lot of the film for me, I mean, freaking Nate Bell, it's calling me out at the end of it. But yeah, the movie did make me cry a lot. It was beautiful.
I'm sorry.
No, it's great. I'm a huge. What's the word? I'm a huge fan of crying in movies.
Me too.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really good release. I don't know how it is for you.
It's such a wonderful feeling. Like, if a movie makes me cry, like I just feel so happy the rest of the day.
It lets you let it out. It means that like a movie is genuinely working in some sort of way. Like, I mean, this does for sure. So there's a line too that I think I don't know how it's like going to speak to every single person, but I know it connected to me a lot. I hope I get this right. I believe it was I'm tired of saying I don't know all the time.
Yeah.
Do you say I don't know all the time?
All the time.
I feel like we're always in that mood, especially as college students.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how much of this is like a reflection of the college experience, but I know that during my time, it was a lot of like, I don't know what I'm doing here, you know?
Yeah. No, for me, I just, I am so confused. Like, I'm just in a constant state of being really anxious and confused. And so I think a lot of the things that I'm drawn to are just about questions that I have, because I don't feel like I am in a place where I have, like, I don't know. I think if I were to try and write a movie that was like, oh, this is a definitive answer to this question that I have, I feel like that would be really cheap, and also something I don't think I'd live to like feel good about, because I'm 20. Like I've been here for 20 years. I know nothing. What advice do I have? Like, I can't give you any answers.
Yeah, especially within a short film. It's such a short time frame.
I have like 15 minutes, and it's like, well, at least I can be confused with someone.
Exactly, and I think at the end of the day, that's what people want. They want to, like, just know that somebody else feels that same way.
Yeah, that's. I mean, those are the movies that make me cry. Like, it was the last movie I remember, like, really just gut punching me was Come On, Come On.
Oh my god,
which
me too.
It gets me every time. It's the scene at the end in the garden.
Yeah,
where
me too.
It breaks me. And it's so powerful. I adore it. But yeah, no, what you're saying, like, it's knowing that you're not alone. And that was a line that we added in the edit, where going through all the dialogue and just trying to make sure it was as, perfect as it could be, whatever that meant. I noticed, like, oh my gosh, I think it's just a fault of the way that I speak, being in my own writing, but like every other line from Gary is like, I don't know, man. It's just
yeah.
And after just thinking about it and thinking about that in my own language, like, that's kind of sad. This is a really confused guy. And he's just trying to figure things out, and it gets so hard to be in that position. That scene comes from a place of I get in places with, like, the relationships I have with people, be it my girlfriend or the friends that I have around me, where I feel like we just kind of say the same things over and over again, and it's like I can kind of predict how each conversation is going to go. and it makes me feel really weird, and I don't know how to break out of those things. It's like, have I run out of things to say? Mm-hmm. And that just kind of felt like a natural fear that these two guys would have there. So I mean, that's another element of like the therapy thing, where it's like whatever I'm thinking about at that moment kind of just is there. Yeah. But I don't know. I think it's also like there's a lot that I think I've grown past in the short time that it's been in like post. But it's also, I think it'll be a really interesting thing to look back on like a year from now, and just have it be such a specific time capsule to what was going on right now. But yeah, no, it's a wild, weird little time.
Yeah. The movie is just, it's full of questions. It's full of like, I don't know, crazy thing we call life, I guess. But yeah. at the very end, I'm really happy that you ended it on a point where I don't know, not many movies feel like the credits are a part of the story, but in yours, I don't know what it was, but seeing Madison Turner up top there as like, that's your last word, essentially. Or really the last word is the whole, like, crew list. Yeah. Which is, I don't know why. It broke me, just especially seeing Madison Turner, because I was just like, I know you two have been dating for like a long time. Yeah. I don't presume to know anything about the relationship, but something about it, this like, yeah, this is made for like the people that you're so close to, that you've been conversating so much with, that you can have conversations for hours with. Yeah,
it's so special to me for that reason, that it's like I feel really lucky to be in a place where I get to make things, where I get to be like, hey guys, do you want to make a brain movie? And they're like, yeah, let's go. Like, yeah. That's,
you have a good group of friends for that.
That means a lot, and I never want to like lose that. And this movie is so much a thank you letter to all of those people, like especially Madison. I was talking to Griffin after, and he was asking me about it, and he was asking if like, was that always going to be how it ended? And it wasn't. Like, it started off about different people and different friendships. Like, she was always there, but I didn't discover until close to the end of the edit how much she was there. And I just had such a hard time watching the movie, and I saw all of the behind the scenes of being there and making it, and just all of my frustrations kind of just were all I could see. But every time I'd sit down and be like, here's a new guy, what do you think? She'd laugh at all the right moments, and like she'd react at all of the reveals, and she'd like grab my arm when it got emotional. And it took me way too long to realize how much this was like so specifically for her, that at that point the only way I could finish the movie was if it was entirely a letter to her. And that took off so much. It removed the filth of my own expectations and my own, like, this has to represent blah, blah, blah. Like, no, this is for her. And
sometimes it simply is just for one person. Yeah. At the end, like, everybody's going to love it, but sometimes it really is just for one person.
And that's, I think, the only way I was able to finish it, where it's like, if I could make this purely for her, and if she likes it, then I'm going to consider it a win, and I'm going to feel okay doing the next thing. And I get into this really, really stupid mindset where it's like, well, she's my girlfriend. She's just saying that. Or like, when you show something to your parents, like, oh, that's great. And you're like, well, you're my parents. You're supposed to say that. I remember when my brother and I were little, we used to we were really into Legos. And so like we'd build so many of our own little things, and we'd show them to our parents, and like, oh, that's so great. And we were just like, they say that to everything we build. So one day, my brother just like stuck 3 bricks on top of each other and went to my mom, and I was like, Mom, what do you think of this? It's a tower. And she's like, oh, that's so great. And he's like, no, it isn't. You fool.
It's a great test.
It was absolutely. And so like there's always been that kind of mentality.
It's perfect.
And I've been trying to get rid of that because like it's so dumb. Even if they are just saying it, I think I'm trying to get to a space where I feel happy enough with the fact that I have friends who care that much, who are willing to say like, oh, this is really great. Even if it isn't because it means something to them, that I'm acknowledged for what the project is. Like, yeah. It's so frustrating that I put so much, I put so little value on what my family thinks or what my close friends think of a project, and I'm just like waiting for some random audience member to be like, oh, now this is cinema. And it's like, oh, well, that stranger on YouTube really liked it, so now I know it's good.
Yeah.
Like,
you put so much stock into, like, you get so caught up in like, well, my friends have to like it. And then once everybody else sees it, then I'll know what people's real opinions are.
Yeah.
Like a real opinion. Like,
what does that mean? And like, and I'm so quick to disavow someone's opinion too. If it's like, oh, this person didn't like this movie. Ah, well, this was their favorite movie. So what do they know? Like, it's so shitty. It's the worst way to approach it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I've come to the same conclusion myself with being way too into film criticism as I am, Yeah. Like, it's
the Letterboxd makes it so easy. Like,
absolutely.
I can just discredit someone immediately.
You go see like, why did this person give Drive My Car a 2.5? What the heck?
Yeah,
and you go
get out of here.
Yeah, and you see like their favorite movie was like, I don't know, like White Chicks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, okay, and I understand.
Oh, okay, now I don't even care. Yeah, I just dehumanize people.
If we're dehumanizing people on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
If you don't have my opinions, sorry,
you're probably not a person.
That's perfect.
No, it's society.
Society be like that, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I wanted to bring up that I didn't know this until I watched The End, which I know you've wrote and directed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I from what I hear, are you from the Central Valley?
I am. Yeah.
Me too.
Wait, where?
I live in Manteca.
No way. I'm from Oakdale.
No way.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I remember when I found out that The End was filmed at the State Theater, I was like, no way. That's where I saw The Favorite.
That's crazy.
Because that was the only theater that was playing it. And I was just like, okay, I got to drive out to Modesto to go see it. But yeah, I've grown up in that area since I was born.
That's crazy.
When I found that out, and I was like, no way, I can't believe we're at least somewhat connected in that way. But
the Central Valley, man.
Yeah,
what a place.
Nobody ever knows it. I don't know what your experience is with telling people where you're from.
Yeah, I mostly just say Modesto because at film school, there's a little extra chance that people are going to know because of George Lucas and Monsters vs. Aliens.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like,
I forgot. I was just talking about that with one of my friends. They're like, oh yeah, Monsters vs. Aliens is in Modesto. I was like, wait, what?
Huh?
I know he talked about Fresno going on the
there's
honeymoon.
a Fresno joke, which is like, rightly so.
Let's go on a honeymoon to Fresno. Fresno is the most romantic place.
Gosh.
They're so right.
Who is that one photographer who did a lot of like Yosemite? It starts with an A, and I feel really silly for not knowing their name. Like Ansel Adams? I feel really stupid right now.
That sounds so familiar, but I cannot think of it right now.
Anyways, the story goes, they're one of the best landscape photographers of all time, and they have a quote that goes something along the lines of like, I've learned how to make every landscape look good to a camera except Fresno.
He's right. He's right.
But
that just means that it's the challenge of like a filmmaker one day to make Fresno.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the Greta Gerwig of Fresno.
Exactly. We're so close. She got Sacramento.
That's a win.
Yeah, we got Sacramento. I'm like, okay, that's perfect. Boring place. Mm-hmm. She made it amazing. Maybe. I don't even know. Maybe she just captured the weird vibe of that place.
Yeah, what a place. What a town.
What a town.
Yeah, no. But like, yeah, it was really fun doing something in the Central Valley because like virtually everyone from that team like Natalie Wilson starred. She's from Sacramento.
Yeah.
And one of my best friends from high school, Isaac Buwalda, grew up in Ripon. They both knew the area, and so like the stories that I was like kind of pulling from like my high school of just like, I want to get out of this town so bad because I've seen all of my friends, like all of the people who are older than me, like leave, come back, and stay here for the rest of their lives, and that's so scary to me.
Yeah.
And so like there's a lot of that, but it was also so cool because like the only way you're able to do a 1950s period piece as a freshman in college is if you're from Modesto.
Literally.
And like because of the impact George Lucas has had there, there's such a giant classic car community. So we threw out just an ad on Facebook and we're like, hey, if you have an old car and want to be a part of a student film, email my dad. And so we got so many people. Like, what's crazy is, like, have you seen American Graffiti?
Yes, okay. I love that movie.
It's so good. The car gang from that movie, the Pharaohs, that's a real gang from Modesto in the 50s. They still meet. They meet every Friday at the A&W in Modesto. And
my God.
We got in contact with one of the leaders of the Pharaohs. And so they just got the Pharaohs and lined the street with their cars.
Let's pull up for the end.
Let's pull up for the boys. And like,
let's pull up for the romantic breakup movie.
Yeah, let's go. And like, I my feelings about the script remain to be like, it's something I did freshman year, so like naturally I'm removed from it as like something, but like the experience is still one of the coolest I've ever like had.
Yeah,
and just
I felt very seen watching it, knowing that I'm like, yeah, somebody else thinks that place is kind of cool, somewhat.
Yeah, no, it's a really fun Central Valley. Adventure.
It's such a boring place, but under the right hands, it could be something kind of special.
Yeah,
you know?
The challenge
George
of what
Lucas,
if Modesto was
Liam
cool.
Greenlee. It's great.
Yeah, gosh, no.
Yeah,
I would kill to live in the alternate universe where George Lucas made more American Graffiti type movies.
Oh my God, yes.
What a world.
What a world. Now he's just
somewhere.
He's hanging out, just talking about Star Wars every now and then with somebody else, I guess.
So I don't know what magazine it was, but like I think today they released like the top 30 people with like the most carbon trails from private jets, and George Lucas was like 25. It's like,
no way.
I didn't know that man left. I thought
he just hung out.
I just thought he stayed on his ranch and didn't go anywhere. But
he just hangs out in Skywalker
He's on the
Ranch.
move. He's destroying the planet.
Hey, at least he's being beat by Taylor Swift. Anyway,
and that's another win for the cinephiles.
He's not as bad.
He's not that bad.
Oh my gosh! Did you see that? There was a like. They're trying to sue the person who made like the flight tracker or whatever for it.
Oh my god!
But it was like somebody posted the most recent one, and it was like a 15-minute like drive or something like that. It's just like from one airport to the next, and they're
That's
like,
iconic.
no wonder they're trying to sue it. This is bad.
This is rough.
This is bad.
Gosh, That's so cool.
Yeah. She could just do that.
She can just do it. You know, one day, one of these days.
Isn't that the dream?
That's
to
the goal.
Be able to instead of drive 15 minutes, you fly 15 minutes.
The Great Gatsby of 2024 does not take place at a mansion, but in a private jet.
The Great Swift, or whatever.
The Great Swiftie. Nick Carraway is Lana Del Rey. It's all there.
It's perfect.
Yeah. That's next.
Yeah, that's next. I also wanted to mention that what is it? I mentioned to you a little bit before we started the movie, but I know that my first introduction with you was Wallace Woods, and literally just like I was on the judge panel for what is it, the Bio Film Festival?
Yeah, Guerrilla Film Fest.
Yeah, I just remember we were watching so many different movies that day. And then yours came up, and I was just like, what the hell is this? This is awesome. He's just conversating with his favorite director.
It's Woody Allen.
No, straight up, because I was just like, yo, what if, it literally is just, what if you talk to Woody Allen today?
No, because like the way, that was like, second month of film school that my friends and I were like, we need to make something. We need to do something, man.
That's
and
fair.
I was like, oh, what if we make a Woody Allen movie about Woody Allen movies?
That is kind of the best thing that you could possibly pitch to somebody first like semester.
Yeah, you know, that's a real, like, the classic first film trope.
You just come and you're like, I want to make a film about film.
I've got this great idea.
I was like, I'm a connoisseur of Woody Allen.
Did you ever
films?
see Midnight in Paris? Manhattan. Let's talk about that. Kind of sus.
I want to conversate with the artist the way that they do in Midnight Paris. It's great. I love it. It's great. It's one of my favorite Biola films still, even to this day. Of course. I did kind of want to ask off of that. Was that, like, did you come into film school knowing that you wanted to, like, act, write, direct? I mean, at this point, you're editing as well. Like, did you come into film school with that idea of, like, I want to do all this?
I just wanted to do everything. Like, I didn't expect to do as much as I've been, like, lucky enough to do now. But I was willing to, like, to do whatever I had to make film. Like in high school, I was really involved with our drama team, and that was the one like artistic escape that I had there. But I've been doing music since I was like 5, and so for a while I was like, oh, I want to be a musician. And then I got really into movies, like, but I want to do movies too. And it's like, but I also like acting. And then it's like, oh, but wait, film is everything. Film is all the things I enjoy doing. So it kind of just became a thing where all of the things I've been interested are things that I can explore and practice and get better at and do with people who are better than me at those things. And so it wasn't like I didn't know exactly what I was going to pursue. Like at the time of Wallace Woods, which was directed by Nick Bash and Tucker Shannon, I was firmly of the belief like, oh, well, I found my directing friends, so I'm just going to write now. That's all. I'm just going to write them scripts and they're going to make it, and that's the rest of my life. And that changed by the end of the year when it's like, I think I want to try directing. As everyone kind of.
You're like, hold up. Maybe.
Let's just give it a whirl.
Yeah.
See what happens.
I mean, that's what film school is all about. You just experiment. Or at least it should be that, I think.
Right.
You know?
No, I totally agree. Because, like, there's also just the thing of, like, there's not going to be a whole lot of time left to experiment in this kind of capacity after film school's over.
Yeah.
So I inhibited the mindset, and I still kind of live there of just doing everything that I can and trying to do with as many people as I can and learn as much and just realize, oh, I really like this. I don't really like that. I want to learn more about this. Like with Gary and Milo, it was my first foray into like trying to figure out After Effects. And so I was like, I'm just going to learn how to do screen replacements and animate the games. And so I got to learn how to do that. And I feel like that was a really valuable thing that I got to learn. And it was super exciting. And I want to try learning more advanced things going forward. But I don't know. I just love doing everything I can. And it's something I enjoy. I don't know exactly where I'll end up, but I'm here for any of it.
Yeah, you're here living in this moment. You made Gary and Milo. It's pretty good.
Brain movie.
Yeah. Highest rated on Letterboxd, apparently.
Which is bonkers.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. It's well-deserved, I think.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, very much so. I think I wanted to close this out. I don't know everything about it, but you're not a student here at Biola anymore. Is that correct?
Yeah.
When was it that you decided to leave?
So I actually ended up realizing that I would have to drop out like a week after we shot Gary and Milo.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wait, what? How did that happen?
There was a bit of a financial crisis on my end that kind of put me in a situation of being like $15,000 under tuition each semester.
Oh, God.
And it was a really crazy thing of like, well, if I want to keep going here, I'm going to have to raise $15,000 each semester to keep doing it. And I just didn't think that was a realistic thing for me.
Yeah. That's fair.
And so it's been a really tricky transition, and I'm still trying to figure out money things and how to like survive, because I wasn't anticipating to like be in the situation of finding an apartment and paying for food for like the next 2 years. So it was kind of just a jumping out of the nest and seeing if we can fly type thing. And thankfully, I've had such an incredible support group.
Yeah.
Like the second that I realized I didn't know where I was going to stay, I have friends who opened up their couch to me, and I stayed there for like 2 months before I found my apartment. And I had so many friends who would just offer to make me meals and take me to movies, and like it was so beautiful. And that's also such a giant part of Gary and Milo, because like we're in the thick of the edit at the time that all of this is happening. And it's kind of like a weird... there's no way I could have predicted it, but like the whole conceit of Gary and Milo being about like, well, what do we do after the ball is gone? After like the thing that is our status quo, how do we function? Our purpose, yeah. What happens after that's gone? That just happened to sync up at the same time that I was kind of forced to drop out of school. And a lot, I think that that's why I think the edit became so important to me.
Yeah.
Is because I was trying to figure it out at the same time they were. And I don't know if I have been able to figure it out, but I mean, essentially the same thing they kind of end on in the film, I ended on too, where it's like, I have no idea what the hell is next for me, how long I can keep my head above water right now. But I'm here with Madison, and I'm here with the friends who let me sleep on their couch. And that's enough for right now. And if that's all I have, I think that's all I need. And so in the special thanks is a little dedication to my apartment friends, and which is a song that like I had my guitar, like we just wrote a really goofy song called My Apartment Friends, and like we just sing it in the living room and like make up stupid verses about things that happened to us. And so like they're such a giant part of that. Andrew, who is here helping set up, was my roommate over the summer, and I had all of the props, and the junk of that room was just dumpster dived from the Biola dumpsters.
Yeah.
And so it looked like we were building a bomb in our dorm, and he was so chill with it. And he opens up his couch to me after we finish, and like Cole Deppy ends up doing a lot of the like. He's the bouncing board for all of my edits, and he was part of that apartment. And Timothy House, who wasn't explicitly involved with the production, but who I sent, who was kind of like the emotional like litmus test for a lot of it. He always had a pulse on what the most important thing was. And Caleb, who I spent 5 days in Audio 1 with, like that's the whole house, and all of them were so important to making this project happen that like it does not exist without the incredible trampoline of friends that I'm so blessed to have. So that's really
that's what all of this is about.
Yeah, like, that's the movie. There it is.
From the very moment I entered in here to watch the screen, that was the one thing that came to mind, is like, we're just all friends just kind of hanging out and then watching a movie about friends.
Yeah, watching a movie about like, you guys.
Yeah, literally. It's, I don't know, it's fitting. I'm happy about that. And I bet you are too, but like...
No, it's the first time I think I've released something or finished something and like felt happy afterwards. Yeah. And I think it's because of how much of my friends is in it. And how much looking at it is like getting a hug and just a reminder that these people are there and that they do care. And that's the most valuable thing I could ever ask for. So it's emotions.
Yeah. I mean, it made me cry, so I guess you got it right. Yeah, you don't go into every movie. You're like, I'm gonna cry today, you know. But
man,
I literally just got off of a Domino's shift. I was like, okay. It was busy, you know.
Yeah.
Like apparently it was like we were understaffed, and today was apparently National Pizza Day.
Oh, that's a blast!
It was great. Love it.
That's so fun.
But I literally made sure to tell my manager. I was just like, I need to go off at my scheduled time because I gotta get here. And then luckily they did. So.
That's great.
Hey, it worked. It all worked out, I guess.
I'm so glad you got to come tonight. Like, this is so special to me.
Yeah. I'm just, I don't know. I'm just really happy that I got to meet you under these circumstances.
Yeah.
Because I've literally only, like, talked to you through, like, or actually, I don't know if we've ever
I don't think we have. I've just liked each other's reviews on Letterboxd.
Exactly. Yeah. You have a great letterbox, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Your letterbox is very much. It makes me go like, man, I wish I was that funny. I think you're like the king of like what is it? There's that like there's that debate of like, should you be doing like the one-liners or the full-on like analysis stuff? I try and push myself to do the analysis stuff, but I can tell you're in the position where I'm like, I got all these one-liners on tap.
I wish I could write. Like, I want, every now and then, it takes a very special event, a very special screening for me to be like, okay, I'm going to write something meaningful here.
Yeah.
And I think I have like 3 reviews on Letterboxd that are like
fair.
Essays. It's like The Third Man and... The Third Man. I don't know.
The Third Man review is really good, I will say.
Yeah. That's gosh, I love that movie. That's such an important one to me.
I still have to see it. I've only seen the Clone Wars episode that takes from it.
Wait, what? There's a... Hold
You
on.
don't know this?
No.
Oh, yeah, okay, so there's a Clone Wars episode in, I believe it's season... I'm going to get it wrong. Is it 6 or something like that? It's basically a whole arc where Ahsoka is like stuff in the Jedi Order goes wrong and she's like on the run.
Oh,
essentially.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a whole...
Oh my gosh.
There's a whole scene where she's like running around in like the sewers, and they literally take shots.
Oh my goodness,
directly
that's
from
so...
the third... Like there's that one where like he's like looking back or whatever.
Yeah.
They copy that exactly.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh.
It's an awesome episode. Or the whole arc is so good. I'm
gonna have to rewatch that. I love the Clone Wars.
Me too.
It's so good.
Yeah, I think some of the arcs are hit or miss, but like something like that hits like
that's so cool.
Hits like crack. I don't know what it is.
There's so many crazy film references in there. Like,
I think that whole arc too was like all the episode titles were like different Hitchcock like stuff.
Dang, yeah.
Like I think one of them was called The Jedi Who Knew Too Much or something like that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
I forgot what the other titles were called. I know that's like The Third Jedi. Maybe it might have been one of them.
Yeah. That's so crazy.
Yeah. There's probably other arcs that are like different. Like they just take titles from like different old films and stuff like that. But
that's so cool.
It's so good. I love it when art does that.
I love continuing the conversation.
It's so good. What's been inspiring you recently? Just like not even for Gary and Milo specifically, but like what's been inspiring you recently? It could be anything. Not just like
things. I've been kind of in a not so great headspace lately. Like I'm in between jobs. And, like, the ticking time bomb is my bank account right now. And it's like, I don't know how long we can keep going. And everything just feels so strange to me. Like, there are some days that just feel so absurdly dreamlike that I just... It doesn't register as reality a lot of the times. And I just feel like I'm walking through, like, a fugue state. And... It's funny because at the same time, like, my friend Caleb and I were like, let's go through Twin Peaks.
Hell yeah.
So
I do that sometimes, too. I have the box set. I do it, too.
We are 2 episodes away from finishing The Return. And
The Return is a masterpiece.
It's so wonderful. But, like, that's... I've been living in the world of David Lynch since October now.
Yeah.
I crossed off all of the movies by him that I hadn't seen. Mm-hmm. And so I've just been like in my giant David Lynch kick era, which is so fun.
Yeah.
And like Twin Peaks has meant so much to me in a wild way where it just seems like my life makes as much sense as theirs in a weirdly comforting way where it's like I can go and I feel understood. Like It's probably not a great thing if you're watching a David Lynch film, like, oh, that's literally my life.
It's literally me.
Literally me. But also, it's like, man, I want to be I want to respond like Dale Cooper. Like, I want to be as kind and thoughtful as he is amidst all of this. And
there's so many moments in that show that kind of like break away from the darkness of it all, and then like you get like a scene between what's his name, like the general guy, and then his son.
Oh my gosh!
And like you'll just get this like beautiful father-son moment.
Yeah,
just for a little moment,
just
for a little scene.
Every now and then there's a really really beautiful scene.
Yeah,
it's.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because I watch just Gary and Milo on the mind, but I feel like both like very much like are dealing with like asking questions about our relationships and within life. Yeah. No answers necessarily, but it kind of just sits within it for just moments. It's nice. It's nice to just sit within it and know that like, man, I feel like that too. You know?
Yeah. No, like it became really important in the edit of it. Like the script is one thing, and then the edit totally changes. I mean, as with every movie, but I think getting in, like reigniting my love for David Lynch at the same time we're editing it, like changes everything about the atmospheres.
Oh yeah.
And like it's weird to say that there's a lot of Lynch and Gary and Milo, but there's a lot that we were pulling from.
I mean, there is for sure.
Even in the sound design, like we found out that Dean Hurley like released an album of atmospheres that he made for The Return, and it's so good. It's so wonderful. And so my friend Caleb and I, we walked around campus with like a shotgun microphone, and just started recording things. And we tried to create like these really Twin Peaks-esque, like low bass kinds of atmospheres that don't go away, and just kind of like watching Eraserhead recently. I was on my computer and like I'd pause it to like see what a friend was saying or something, and you don't realize how much sound there is until you pause, and it's like, and it's just empty. It's so full in your head when you're watching that movie. Like, it's just constant wind and rumbles and low tones that just you accept as nothing until you turn it off and realize just how loud that movie is.
Oh, yeah.
It's so cool.
It's perfect. Man. I don't know how else to end this, so I'm just going to say thank you so much, Liam.
Thank you so much.
This has been amazing. This is the first. You're going to be the first interview of whatever this podcast is.
I'm so
honored. I literally don't even have a title. I just knew that I wanted to interview people. Like, I don't know. I did it at the Chimes, so this was like my favorite thing to do.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I don't know if you know like Ryan Chiquetta and like Kat Baggio, the Montgomery Brothers. I've interviewed them. They were my favorite things to do. I was like, I hated writing them, but I loved talking to people. So it was nice to just start that back up again. Once I ended the film, I literally turned to Lauren Good, and I was just like, this is going to be an awesome interview.
Well, thank you. No, it means so much. I'm really glad we got to do this.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And, well, I guess we'll talk more. Maybe not on this interview setting. I mean, unless you've released a new film.
Knows? Yeah.
And I'll absolutely text you again and be like, let's do it.
I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, dude, thank you so much.
Yeah.